Welcome everybody to another edition of Amplify Your Business. Today we're going to be talking coffee, sustainable businesses, ethical businesses, collaborations, marketing, a whole pile of great and interesting things. And my guests today are Mavi and Rekha from Intent Coffee. Welcome to the show, Mavi and Rekha.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So I know you guys are busy down there at the store right now. We are filming this on a Saturday. You took some time out, snuck into the back. We're having so that we can have this conversation and answer some of your questions and stuff. But I really am interested in your business. So you guys started this only a few months ago. Tell us a little bit about what motivated you to start this business, Intent Coffee.
Yeah, we actually started right smack in the middle of the pandemic.
September 2020. But Intent has been like a dream of ours since high school, actually. So we went both at Victoria School of the Arts, and we were friends then. And Rekha was really passionate about like woodworking and like creating things. And I was passionate about like visual arts and coffee. I was working as a barista at that time at Second Cup.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and then we just we had a group of friends that we had our own like niche like passions and interests, and whenever it's lunchtime, like we would always talk about owning like a building that like would house all of our like passion projects. And
yeah, it was actually inspired by this building downtown called Rock Mountain, and it's this old brick building, and we just loved the look of it. And we were like, you know what, someday we should own something, we should collaborate and house our dream projects. And I was gonna have my tiny house construction company in the basement, and Mavi's gonna have their cafe, you know, on the ground level to pull in the people. And then we're gonna have a dance studio just right above it, and
a daycare.
Yeah,
too.
a daycare. So like, and also like a photography like
studio
just adjacent to the dance studio.
So we wanted like an art house with like a daycare.
Yeah.
We want it to be accessible, right? That's like part of the thing that we value the most is like accessibility as well. Like if you have a child, then like you should be able to pursue still like your hobby. So we wanted the daycare there.
Yeah. So it started as a good laugh.
Yeah. It's like a joke, a dream. And then after high school, graduated, we kind of like went separate paths. Like I really pursued coffee and then specialty coffee.
Yeah, and I pursued more of like my woodwork passion.
Then we haven't like we've been seeing each other like on and off since then. Then we kind of got a taste of like, you know, like real life, adult life, real world. And we met up for like drinks one time, and we were really just like frustrated on like our workplaces, like how like it's not the way we want it to be.
Yeah, and we just wanted to create a space where it's ideal for us, like a dream space of ours, like a space where how we want to be treated, a space where we can be passionate about things and not be apologetic about them, and just let you know our creative juices flow.
And like for also like our communities, like the Filipino community and like the BIPOC and like the queer and trans community, to have like a welcoming space as well, like all the marginalized communities that we're part of, to have a space that they can like call their own too.
And like just looking back in high school, we've always went to like coffee shops to hang out, and as youths, as queer youths, we could not really access the community,
queer spaces,
like a queer spaces, because most of them are bars and they're not accessible to youths. So how can we create that intergenerational and intersectional connections within our community? Like, how would it be easier for a younger queer to navigate through the world, you know, through the systems right now? And we didn't have that. We didn't have mentors. And just looking back on that, we realized it's like we need to create a space for that. We need to host a space for that to happen.
That's really cool. And so obviously you guys aren't downtown in this building that you were dreaming about with all the different businesses yet anyway. Right now you're in Southgate, right? And Yeah. And so you've created that space where people can gather, and how you can support all of the people and the other businesses and other organizations and causes as well. And so tell me a little bit about that. Like, tell me about the coffee. What makes you guys unique, I guess, in the coffee shop space?
Uh, I think, or we think, we're like the first ones to serve Philippine coffee in Edmonton, in Alberta, I guess Canada.
As is in a coffee shop
In a
setting,
coffee
yeah.
shop setting. So we're unique in that sense. And our coffee is grown by, sourced by, roasted by, and brewed by like Filipinos. It's all this like just like Philippine coffee, like through and through and through.
Cool.
And that's a big thing because like coffee, like there's a long value chain in coffee, and like it's radical to see that it's like one nationality, or like brown people like handling the coffee like all the way from like seed to cup.
Yeah.
Having that autonomy and like equity in that value chain, that like what grows from our land, like we also like take care of it and like make profit out of it too. um so I think that's like, to me, like that's what makes us unique. And also like we are youth owns and like queer owns and BIPOC owns coffee shop. And you don't see a lot of like BIPOC owns like coffee shop, especially like specialty coffee like cafes. It's a lot of like white folks own it. And like we wanted to see coffee because like everyone drinks coffee, like at least each nationality like or each culture has their own coffee culture. And like we wanted to have a space for like, hey, like this is like Philippine coffee culture too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we'd like to see more of like other communities like having their own like spaces as well, because that makes richer experiences.
Yeah, and we want to see more diversity in the city because we lack diversity in the city, and we also want to encourage our other like QT BIPOC folks to like open up something of their own, and like, you know, sharing their culture with like our city, because we need that. We can't just have the same coffee shops over and over again, you know, throughout the city, because what makes our city different?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we are such a, you know, diverse city with diverse
Yeah.
people and interests, and it's beautiful to see, you know, that reflected in the businesses and the business owners and entrepreneurship and that. And so I'm, yeah, just really excited to have you guys on today's episode to be able to hear your story. And the name alone, like Intent Coffee, everything you do seems to be so incredibly intentional, whether that is how you're sourcing the beans and the coffee and everything else, to the collaborations that you're having as well. So tell us a little bit about, I mean, you're somewhat unique compared to a lot of others. I mean, there are some other coffee shops that do some similar things, but you have a ton of collaborations going on. You have some merchandise. You're bringing in baked goods from, again, a Filipino bakery, right? And so tell me a little bit about some of that.
In the Philippines, we believe in the concept of bayanihan. And bayanihan is a group of people who share something in common, and we share the same value, and we have a similar goal to reach.
Mm.
And we want to help each other out, and we want to showcase that as a part of our culture, and we want to share that with the people here, because we want to see more community building here. And in our culture, that is the root of our identity. It's community.
Yeah, because like we both grew up in the Philippines, and like life is really hard in the Philippines. And like you live in this country where you really can't depend on governments, right? Because at least here in Canada, like the government, like we have EI here. In the Philippines, if you have no job, you're hungry. So
Yeah.
in a country that you can't depend on its like infrastructure and governments, the only thing you really have is your neighbors, like
Yeah.
your community. And so when we moved here to Canada, it's like there's something that's lacking. Like we live in close knit like apartments, but we barely know each other.
Mm.
So we wanted to bring that like communal living that we experienced, that actually like made us survive a hard life in the Philippines,
Yep.
and bring it here, because I think that could amplify what we already have and what we're doing in this land.
And especially, during these hard times, I think it's important that we work together as a community to make sure we all survive the pandemic and everything crazy that's happening in the world right now. And I feel like knowing that we have each other's back is kind of like, it's like, oh yeah, it feels better. It feels lighter. The burden is shared amongst everyone.
And I think that like the pandemic really was like a pivotal moment for a lot of people, because now they're realizing like, oh, the government aids are actually not enough. So now we're starting to realize that like we have to collaborate, we have to work together, we have to like share.
Yeah.
Because it's it's an ecosystem. And if you're not willing to collaborate, then what's the point?
Yeah. And I mean, must have been the strength that you were pulling from when you decided to start this business in the middle of the pandemic, right? Because that's unusual. There's a lot of people that would be thinking, okay, well, we have this dream, we're gonna have to put this off for another year or two, but you both just jumped right into it.
We went right into it. I mean, partly the reason why we went for it was an opportunity that was given to us.
Yeah, so like I used to work at the Grizzler Coffee Records, and they're actually one of our roasters too.
Nice.
And Southgate approached the owner of Grizzler and asked them to open up a cafe here. But the owner knows that like I want to open my own. Like we wanted to open our own space, and he handed the opportunity to me because he was like, I already have mine.
Nice.
Like it'd be a slap in your face if I didn't like present this opportunity to you. So that alone is like a collaboration already. Like giving chances to each other, giving opportunities to each other if you already have enough. So yeah, like we had this opportunity, and actually we didn't have enough money to open our doors because construction is a surprise.
And also in terms of our loans, we actually budgeted for a coffee cart. Like originally that was our business plan, is to go around the city farmers markets, events, and serve our coffee there. But things happen, like these things happen, and our budget was for a coffee cart, and we ended up opening a space,
like a shop instead of a cart. So we had like a coffee cart money budgeted for a shop, and we needed plumbing and electrical work done, and we couldn't afford it. Like we had zero.
We were just this was just enough. And I was doing most of the construction here.
We were pulling out money from our pockets. Like, what's your savings? How much savings do you have?
So were you able to self-fund then, or did you get some investors, or how did you put it together then?
GoFundMe. So it's like, okay, what's our last resort? Is like as a community, because like we actually forgot, like in the process of building and opening something, we forgot that like our values is the one that will like push us forward, because like we were all about like collaboration and community building. Why don't we use that to open our doors? So it's like, wait, we've been saying this all along. This is it. This is a problem, and we need to come together to make this dream happen. So we as a community is like, hey, starting a GoFundMe, like we just need to cover these costs to open the doors. And so we raised $6,000, and that was like, and we hit it, and like people are still donating to the fund, because we actually wrote like what our vision are, like our mission, like how we do it, and like what our future plans
and like our core values,
and like our story, like getting here. And people just kept giving, and even like Janice Irwin came here
and supported us.
That's just like we put out our truth and like the struggles that we are facing, and people showed through, and that was what we're saying, like by Anihan, like we proved that it works. Community works.
Community collaboration and having each other others backs
works.
That's so cool, because I mean that was the ultimate test, right? And obviously the community passed it. You guys passed the test.
Like,
everybody came together.
And like till now, I'm still blown away and overwhelmed by the community support. Like they always show up, and community comes through all the time.
Well, that's really cool. And so the GoFundMe is still ongoing, you said?
Yes.
Okay, tell us how to access that.
So if you follow us on intentcoffee.yeg on Instagram, it's on our bio. We have a link tree, and then just go to the button that says Intent GoFundMe, and it'll take you to the site.
Very cool. Yeah. So for all of you people out there who are watching this episode, definitely consider going and supporting. This is just a great small business here who is trying to support so many others at the same time, because there's profit sharing. You guys are taking a percentage of that. And you're donating that to different organizations as well. There's just a ton of giving back, and it's that cycle of support, which is just absolutely beautiful. So good on you guys for coming up with that as being so core and sticking to that. That's really great. Now, I know, prior to us hitting the record button, we were just talking about some questions that you guys might have just in terms of, business marketing and so on. You're new entrepreneurs. So fire away. I'll try to answer them the best that I can.
What do you think people are looking for when it comes to marketing during a pandemic like this time?
Yeah, the types of messaging that are going to resonate with,
yes.
yeah. And I think when it comes to the pandemic, for sure, we're seeing a huge increase in support for people, banging that local drum. And so surprisingly, even when things are tighter, there's been a lot of people trying to redirect their money to local businesses. And so I think the pandemic was one of those things that could have really kind of almost wiped out all the small local businesses, because the bigger ones, the big chains and so on, can often withstand some of those downturns. And so I think what was happening is there was so much messaging at the beginning around, we need to support local, because these people are the backbone of our economy as well as our society, really. I mean, it's us as small business people who are employing, the people who live in this city for the most part. I mean, 80% of, or I think it's even higher than that, of the jobs are as a result of small businesses, right? And so that's a really significant thing. And I think that message was just really well received, and people could connect the dots to that. And so they started really supporting local. So I would definitely be, using that in my marketing as much as possible. And then really emphasizing the things that you guys were talking about that really makes you unique and different, and that you already do, I think, do a really great job of it in your existing marketing, your social channels. And that is really talking about that community and how you're supporting, and how important it is that we're all supporting each other, right? And so the fact that you guys are collaborating with different organizations and different suppliers, and the fact that you're giving back as well at the same time, that's kind of unique in a startup small business world, because usually as a startup, as you guys know, is every penny really does matter. It's hard to be able to give a percentage of that away as you're building that, but because it's so core to who you both are, and what the business really stands for, I think just really continuing to talk about that, and getting that message out, especially with the people who you're collaborating or supporting. So anything that you can do to showcase them, have conversations with them in social media, sharing, the things that they're doing, and asking them to share the things that you're doing and posting. Those are really important things. And I know that we had talked a little bit about, the types of marketing that you're doing. And you mentioned that, you're on Instagram and TikTok are the two big driving forces of your marketing right now in communications. I asked you about email marketing, and you said, yeah, we haven't really been doing much of that, but you're collecting that contact information. And so I think that that's also taking that message into kind of a newsletter format for all those people who know and love you guys and what it is that you're doing there. This is a tribe of people who are going to be very passionate about the ethical, moral, community-minded stance that you're taking. And so I think just making sure that they're getting those messages is going to be really, really important. And I think having a growing email list is going to help communicate to people who don't necessarily interact with your social media on a regular basis. And so that could be a really good avenue as well. Yeah. Any other questions? I think we talked a little bit before just about increasing that reach, I think, within some of your communities too. And so, yeah, like in terms of you guys having, you know, very distinct communities that you could target, the Filipino community would be the one that would jump out at me as being probably the easiest one to target from a ad campaign within social media. So on Instagram, for instance, what you could do is you could put just a little bit of a promotion behind some of your most popular posts. So, you know, some of them you're getting, you know, hundreds of likes and views and lots of shares and stuff like that. And those are indicators to the algorithm of Instagram that this is something that is of interest to others. And so Instagram is, you know, very, very selfish in the sense that they want to be putting content in front of the people who are using their platforms that they're going to find most interesting. So they'll stay on the platform longer, because what that gives Instagram the ability to do is serve up more ads to them then. So the longer people stay, the better it is for Instagram. They make more money. And so the only way that they can get people to stay is if they're giving them the content that'll keep them scrolling and watching. And the same thing with TikTok, right? I mean, how many hours does one spend on TikTok, you know, a week that you never intended to, right? It's just the algorithm is designed to keep you there. And so when your content is getting shared, that's a signal to them that, okay, we're going to open this up to more and more people. And so if you throw a little bit of ad spend on some of those more popular posts that are getting that action at the time in which they're getting it. So you don't want to wait, you know, a couple of weeks later when now nobody is seeing it, nobody's commenting and liking it and so on. But in the, you know, in that first day that you're getting a bunch of action on it, throw a little bit of ad spend to it, and then that will show it in front of many more people who will then also engage with it. And then that tricks the algorithm into thinking that you're getting much more organic views than what you are, because you're paying for some of those views, essentially, because you're putting it in front of people. But it only has to be, you know, $20. It doesn't have to be, you know, thousands of dollars. And so then the algorithm will multiply that out and send it out to even more people organically. So then you end up kind of the paid really supporting the organic reach, and the organic reach supporting the paid reach as well, because you end up actually if the more popular the post is, the less expensive it is to actually pay for the ad promotion of it. And so the great thing about that, when you're trying to curate a very specific community, is you can then target people based off of their interests and their demographics. And so you would be able to target just people in the Edmonton region, you know, just around, if you wanted to be very local to the Southgate area. So maybe you wouldn't focus initially some ad spend on the north side, just because the likelihood of them driving down are going to be a little bit less. So you maybe do a little bit closer circle. You can do that so that only those people are seeing the ads, and then the organic will reach all the others who are part of that community when other people are liking and sharing it and so on, who fit that similar kind of demographic. So that would be my recommendation, is to pour just a little bit of, you know, fuel onto the fire of each one of those real popular posts as they're growing. And if for those people who haven't watched your channels, I mean, you guys are engaging in social media. You're having a lot of fun. You're doing the dancing. You're doing all sorts of crazy things that are going to get attention, right? And that it's entertaining. People love that. And then you're mixing in the messaging around the things that are really matter, that will hold them, that will get them committed to your cause too, because they see how passionate you are about some of that stuff. So I think you guys are doing a fantastic job with the content creation, and over time that will just continue to grow your audience. Another thing that I would say too is really leveraging those collaborations that you have, you know, outside of social media, and leveraging them inside social media as best that you can as well. And so, you know, one example would be, we were talking about one of our past guests here on Amplify Your Business, who is Yellowed, another Filipino business. And so that particular business has got a really great following in social media. And I know you guys already have an ice cream supplier, Dirty Ice Cream, I think you were saying, right? And so you maybe wouldn't collaborate with them on a product. Maybe you would still, I'm not sure. But it doesn't have to be product-based collaborations. I think what would be really exciting is to do more community and social collaborations with them as well, potentially. And one of the simplest things that you could do is pop by their store and do a TikTok dance with them, because they're a lot of fun as well. And so you guys are both posting clips from that and tagging each other, and you both then will start to borrow followers from each other, right? And so then that will just organically continue to grow that, so that your reach gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah.
So we're just imagining now, like, just going into other businesses and just like dance.
Yeah.
Can we dance here?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's doable. That's the type of stuff we would do.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's a funny, the silly, funny stuff. I mean, that's what's so great. Or something that's trending on TikTok right now in terms of a dance, and just tap up some other entrepreneurs who also are willing to be silly and have fun on camera as well, are doing it on their own channels. The likelihood of you guys being able to collaborate on one of those trending ones is pretty high, probably, right? And so it's just a way of amplifying each other's reach and really being that community. And this is the beautiful thing about social media, is it's not really tricky in terms of the strategy to organic growth, because if you're being social within it, that's going to help you grow. And that's the problem. Most businesses use it as a kind of almost like a billboard, where they are pushing information into the platform, but they're not really engaging anybody. They're not having the conversations, they're not having fun, they're not being real. Well, you guys are so real and so passionate, right? And you have so many great collaborations and so many great things to talk about, and that other people will want to talk about and support. Like, it's just the opportunity. You've set yourself up anyway for just a beautiful opportunity to explode in social media. And so now it's just being a little bit, and sorry for the pun, but intentional with some of the things that you're going to be doing in terms of those collaborations, or the way that you're going to interact with some people there, so that you can foster more of that. And again, that's going right back to your roots, which is community. You're just being, great community members. It just so happens it's with an entrepreneur across the city or something, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I would think it'll be something that'll just come very natural to you as you start to really work on that. And I'm already seeing some of that in your social already, where you guys are doing that. Yeah. Yeah. And so those would be, I think, the easiest wins, in my opinion, is going to be, throw a little bit of fuel on. Don't spend a lot in ads, just because I don't think that you need to, but it'll just accelerate your growth of your followers a bit more. Really work on those collaborations online, and continue to do the content creation that you're doing, because you guys, it's great. It's fun. It's light. It's inclusive, everything. And then for the people who are really members of your tribe, who they're going to want to know what's going on over there. And so set up a little bit of a regular newsletter of sorts and that could be, it doesn't have to be really time consuming either. It could be really quite simple in terms of the content that you would be sending them out or sending out to them. And that could be just, some of the links to some of your favorite TikToks that you've done that month, as an example, or other ones from other people who you're collaborating with, or other people in the community, right? That maybe you don't have a collaboration with, but you just really respect them and want to see them thrive. Those are the kinds of things that you'd want to share in that. So those stories, or their TikTok, or information about the collaboration, some more information about the supply system or chain that you have, and how that's all Filipino, and those stories are just really cool. And just talking about the things that you guys are currently doing. And maybe there's going to be some sort of special on this week or this month, or some sort of featured brew or something like that you can talk about as well, to try to get them into the store. And so, building the community and just talking about the things that are going on in the store will get them to keep coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, like doing more of what we're doing.
Essentially, yeah, and just being a slightly more strategic about it, but not a whole lot. I think you guys are on the right track.
Awesome.
Yeah. With regard to the website, I would say when I was over on it, it was loading a little slow, and that could just be an issue today, or it might be something to do with my internet. My internet's usually pretty good though, so that might be something you might want to look at. Just making sure that the website is set up for quick load speeds, because that could be important for people who are clicking on. If they doesn't load within 3 seconds, then the bounce rate is really high, so you don't want that. And then just beefing that up in terms of the things that you're maybe selling, and allowing people to order and so on through there, and just optimizing a few things there. But we've had
Website was actually like rushed because like,
Yep.
was it like October? Like the restrictions changed. They're like, no dining. So like we just asked our friends, like, can you just put something up that's functional as long as orders can get through? That's all we care about. So it was just something like we need to adjust to the restrictions. Yes, and we definitely like gotten feedback that's like some orders don't go through and get missed, and like
Yep.
it's really not like where we want it to be, but yeah, we're getting there.
Totally. And this is the reality of an entrepreneur, right? Of a startup business, is you can't do it all at once, usually, not unless you have a really big budget. And so you just pick away at those things, and you get them done. And so, yeah, I would say it's probably should be one of your priorities right now, just because of, again, the restrictions and everything else. So a lot of people are going to the website, so that might be worthwhile having a little bit more attention placed there, so that you don't have any lost opportunities there. Because one of the things that you're doing in social is you're trying to get people interested and aware of your business. And then if they go to the website and they're struggling to put the order in anyway, all that time you're working on content and everything else kind of gets a little wasted, or the return on it isn't nearly as high. And
Yeah, because
so
you can't retain them. Yeah.
So if I would say focus on the website updates, get that functioning well, and then really focus on driving more of that traffic in there. So I wouldn't do the ads until probably I got the website sorted out completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if things open right back up again and you're getting lots of good foot traffic, then it's a little less important probably.
Yeah.
But just right now, I would say it's definitely should be a priority. Yeah.
Website.
Yeah, but yeah, so I mean, those are a few things, and I hope that they'll help you guys. And obviously, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to bounce them off of me at any point at all. Just feel free to reach out, and I'm more than happy to give you whatever advice I can give you, and support you in whatever way I can as well. Because, like I said at the outset, we're all entrepreneurs. We're all in this together. We're all learning. Like, it's constantly learning, no matter how long you've been in it. And so I'm just really excited to see the success that you guys are having right now, the passion that you have for what you're doing, that you're really seizing the dream that you had. This is the first step, and what'll likely be some really cool things that are going to be coming out. And who knows, maybe that building downtown, and with all the collaborative spaces and everything else, like, who knows what's around the corner. But this is the first step. So congratulations on taking it.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh, I do have one question.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about Instagram Live?
Yeah, definitely do it. Yeah, because again, it's all about the algorithms over on the social platforms, and the live posts that are happening get way more attention, and the alerts were popping into other people's phones and stuff, than what a non-live post gets. And so if you can increase your lives, you're going to end up reaching more people, especially if those people are interacting with the lives. And so there's some strategy that you need to employ to really maximize the engagements that are happening while you're on live. And so that's important to do, because again, it's kind of similar to what we just said about the website and so on, where you can put a whole pile of work and effort into driving traffic over to a website, but if the website is not converting people well because there's something wrong there, then you're kind of wasting your time a little bit. You're not getting as good a return. And it's the same thing with lives. So the algorithm will make it shown to people, so you can enhance the number of people who are going to see it. But it's about trying to keep them on and get them interacting with it. And there's just little tweaks, little things that you can do so to maximize that. And so if you just did a little Googling on your own, just how to, maximize your Instagram live, that would throw up a bunch of YouTube videos from experts who've been doing it. And there'll be some great advice that you'll be able to pick up from that. And it's just the way that you engage and talk to your audience and the things that you ask them to do, basically. And that'll just make a big difference from having, a nice exposure to having a great exposure.
And like also one more additional question, just on with regards to YouTube, like how different should, if ever we are planning on opening up our own YouTube channel, like how should that differ from our Instagram?
Yeah, so YouTube is a lot better for longer form content historically, but now YouTube is actually trying to get into the Reels game or the TikTok game as well. And so now there's a short
stories
form.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so so the strategy for the stories is going to be pretty much the same as what it is over in TikTok and Instagram. Is very, very similar there. How are they going to be successful in getting audiences over there? I'm not sure yet. I mean, they have such a strong following, with people who love YouTube and watch a lot of YouTube, but and so this is a kind of, even though they have that audience, that this is a different means of them interacting with that content. I don't know if they're going to be successful in really pulling that short form content lovers over there or not, just because it's not really as much of a social platform, right? They've always struggled with that. But the traditional YouTube, that's going to be your longer format. And so where I could see you guys really benefiting there, the strategy that I would employ is sitting down and having conversations, kind of like what we're doing here, but with your suppliers, with your collaborators, with the organizations that you guys are really working with. And so it's going to be a little longer format then, because you're having conversations, is going deeper than just a TikTok dance, right? So do the TikTok dance with them if you can as well. And and then talk about, hey, and we also sat down with these people for an interview. Check it out in the, the link in bio or whatever, and start sending people over to the YouTube channel. But one thing that I will caution you against is that you don't need to be everywhere. And this is the thing that a lot of people start to think that, oh, I should be on Instagram, I should be on TikTok, I should be on YouTube, I should be on Twitter and now Clubhouse and, all these things. And the problem with it is that it's hard to do a great job on any of them if you're spreading yourself too thin. And you guys are entrepreneurs, you're doing all these other stuff, you're running your business, you're working in the business, and so there's not a lot of time in the day to be dedicating to just content creation on all these different platforms. So what I would say is the brands that are the most successful in any of those platforms, they tend to really focus in on one, maybe two platforms. They might do a little bit in the others just because they feel that they need to be in those others, but it's always going to be better to just go deep into, in your guys' case, I love where you're at, TikTok and Instagram, because the type of content that you're creating, you have the ability to create really good, engaging content, which is not everybody's cup of tea, right? Or cup of coffee, I should say. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you guys are that though, right? So it works. It really works well for you. Yeah. And so I would just really focus in those areas and follow, I'd be paying attention to what's going on in YouTube and just see if they're starting to get traction on stories, and then just jump into that.
Okay.
As well, potentially, because it's going to be kind of the same video posted in 3 different places then.
Mm-hmm.
But where you can engage with your tribe, right? Your audience, the people who just love what you guys are doing and want to, be part of your community. That's going to be more the social platforms where they can comment. You guys can comment back to them. There can be real conversations happening. I think that's going to be really key. And so I think Instagram is going to be probably pretty powerful for that for you. And that's where you're getting your best exposure right now, right?
Sorry?
And that's where you're getting your best exposure right now. You're getting more followers there anyway. The tribe is starting to coalesce around you now, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry, you were going to say something too.
Okay, so like Instagram is also connected to Facebook. So
Yeah.
like whatever we post on like Instagram is also posted as like a feed post on Facebook. So
Yeah.
like it's like so much easier for us to handle both.
Yeah.
Like the older like Filipinos and the older generation like use Facebook. They also see our content there, but the younger ones are like in Instagram. So
Yeah, definitely. And so that's a great feature there, like you said, so it'll post it kind of automatically over. The one thing that I would say is that and that's good when you don't have the time to be creating content that's a little bit more specific to Facebook, but the types of caption and types of content that you would, should be writing in those Facebook posts is definitely slightly different than what you're going to be doing on Instagram.
yeah.
And just the way that people interact with it and so on. So you'll be talking about, click the link in the bio. But
Oh yeah.
on
Yeah.
Facebook, it doesn't make any sense, right? And so ideally, and again, comes back to just a time, cost benefit ratio analysis, but ideally you would be creating the content somewhat separately or repurposing the content from one into the other, but then doing those little tweaks and building out the post better on Facebook and that. So it's just, if you don't have the time to do that, which I'm not saying you should make the time, I think probably what you're doing right now is good enough. But once you do have some time or the ability to do that, then tweaking it, you'll get a better return off of those efforts over on Facebook. But right now, my gut would say that your audience, likely, and you'd know this better than me, as to who's coming in and buying the coffee, but my gut would say that it's skewing more to the younger audience than anyway, right? So Instagram is where they're living.
Yeah, where we live.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is great. It was so nice to meet you both and to chat with you. And again, why don't you guys just give a quick rundown as to where people can connect with you or how to find you on Instagram and TikTok?
So we are located in Southgate Center near Southeast entrance, right beside the bay, across Dollarama. And on Instagram, our username is intentcoffee.yeg, so .yeg. And our website is intent.coffee.
And what about on TikTok?
It's intent.coffee too.
Intent.coffee?
Intent Collective.
It's Intent Collective. We'll just double check. Sorry.
Well, I'm sure, yeah, with a little bit of just searching, we'll be able to find you guys over there as well.
It's at Intent Coffee.
TikTok at Intent Coffee.
All right. Excellent. So again, everybody who's listening, please head over to Intent Coffee and check them out. It's a great story here for our city. Love that the diversity of the entrepreneurs who are really, taking a chance here through COVID and really jumping into business. And I wish you guys all the success that you deserve. Like really the things that you're doing over there. I just really want the city to know about it and the city to be supporting it. So good on you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Lance.
having us.
Okay. And so for everybody who liked this episode, there's more episodes over at our archive, which is at amplimedia.com/amplify. And if you know another business that should be showcased on a future episode, please reach out because we'd love to interview them. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. And thank you once again, Mavi and Reka.